Anyone interested in talking directly to presenters is pleased to raise your hands. We will facilitate you if we still have time. If you could not get your answer, the presenters will send the answer via email. All right. For the participants, please set yourself ready to hear the first presentation, and it is about the importance of vocabulary in language learning, and it will be delivered by Ilma Nashifa Ansori. Hello, Ilma.
Hello.
All right, Ilma. Are you ready to present your idea?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, so for Ilma, time is yours.
All right. Thank you to the moderator, and thank you to the participant for joining this webinar. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I'm Ilma Nashifa. First of all, I'm so grateful to the precious opportunity to be here, sharing such an interesting topic with you to discuss. All right, to minimize the time, I would like to go straight to the presentation. So please have nice seat and pay attention. Today, I would like to present about the importance of vocabulary in language learning. As we know that the term of vocabulary itself is absolutely important in language use and language learning as well. According to Hanbi, vocabulary is defined as the whole words of language that are meaningful. Moreover, the utilization of vocabulary in using human language is also very essential because of its sense, which represents the speaker's idea and feeling to other participants of communication. Next slide, please. Right. The value of vocabulary itself is also claimed as a lexical knowledge, which is the main point in communicative competence, especially in foreign language learning. Furthermore, the lexical knowledge is defined as a knowledge that is expressed in words, and it is able to be memorized and understood by both the communicative participant. Hence, the vocabulary or the words is considered as the basic knowledge that the learner must master is recognizing and understanding the words and grammatical patterns purposely to express and comprehend the idea or context in communicative language use. And then, as it can be seen on this slide, that in second language learning, the types of vocabulary are divided into receptive, productive, and mastery vocabulary. Shortwave 2005 explained that the receptive vocabulary is the total number of words in language that the learner can usefully recognize and understand its meaning and context through the basic skill of language learning, which is reading text, but the learner is able to produce the words in speaking and writing. Meanwhile, Swatweb defines that the productive vocabulary is the words or lexem that the learner has completely comprehend and being able to pronounce and use it correctly in spoken and written language, which means that the productive vocabulary is also discovered as an ability of language usage in grammatically and appropriate circumstance. In addition, it refers to a particular period when the learner can perform an active communicative action using the second language they learn. Therefore, the vocabulary master is concluded as the output of receptive and productive vocabulary. For some reason, the vocabulary mastery is explained as a mastery of perfect knowledge and skill in all language learning aspects, which are reading, listening, writing, and speaking, as the learner is able to understand and respond what the meaning and context that are people can see. Next slide, please. All right, therefore, I would like to explain the vocabulary teaching technique that can be used for improving the lexical knowledge in second language learning. Firstly, using objects as their realization, visual aids, and demonstration in presenting the meaning of words. In this technique, the object is considered as one of the best to show the meaning of a word or proper noun, and it is able to support the learning for recognizing the words into visualization. Secondly, using illustration and contrasting strategy. For instance, the illustration of a coherent story can introduce many new vocabularies to the learner because of its meaning that connected through to the illustration presented as the language visualization as well. And then contrasting strategy refers to learning synonyms and antonyms as the lexical knowledge. It helps the learner expanding their vocabulary counts from common vocabulary to the rarely used one. Moreover, the others are ESL and ESL technique that are used by foreign language teacher to present the lexical knowledge and help the students to practice and produce it daily. And as what is it? As it includes the translating, eliciting, and other techniques for helping the learner to be vocabulary master. Next slide, please. According to the recent explanation of the values of vocabulary, we can conclude that the vocabulary is absolutely the most important term in language learning because the lack of knowledge of it can stuck the student's ability to produce and comprehend the language that is used in communicative action as a vocabulary master. Therefore, the vocabulary learning methods that have been explained are also essential application to help the students build their language skills in daily communicative action. Well, that's all from me. Thank you for your attention. I'm sorry if I made mistakes. I hope my presentation is useful. I will give it back to the moderator.
All right, thank you so much, Ilma, for your explanation about how important is the vocabulary to learning a language. So after we know the importance about learning vocabulary, the next one is Armanda Faputra and will share for us about the biggest mistakes when learning vocabulary and how to solve it. Hello, Arman.
Hello, Teteh.
All right. For Arman, time is yours.
Right. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I'm gonna present to you all about the biggest mistake when learning vocabulary and how to solve it by Armanda Faputra. Okay. First of all, the introduction. Vocabulary learning is a key element in language learner. The better you can say what you want when speaking or writing, the more word you can know and the more word you can understand what you notice from Frankfurt International School 2021. Next is what is learning vocabulary? Richards and Renandia in 2002 mentioned that vocabulary is a core component of language proficiency and provides much of the basis for how learners speak, listen, read, and write, page 255. And next is from Penny Ewer in 1996, state that vocabulary is one of important things to be taught in learning foreign language because it will be impossible to speak out with a variety of words. Page 60. Next is how important the vocabulary is. Learning vocabulary is very important for second language learners. Toschu and Cody in 2004 point out learning vocabulary is an important aspect of language to and foreign language acquisition and academic achievement, and it's vital to reading comprehension and proficiency, to which is close link. Page 473. Next is 5 biggest mistake when learning vocabulary. This is the point of this presentation. First mistake is rote memorize word. People are normally memorize word. Like example, when we are in the high school, when we are in the elementary school, we always remember that the teacher must learn from the teacher teach us or guide us to memorize vocabulary, but we are too much memorize vocabulary, but we cannot understand what we have the vocabulary is. Next is the second mistake is learn word that you don't need. Okay, the third mistake is learn word out of context. And the fourth mistake is the very worst mistake. There is a not apply the word, and the next is not jotting down the word, which means like you do not write down the vocabulary that you have before. Okay, next is how to solve it. Pointing out into Kaufman statement in his YouTube video, Kaufman said the best way to memorize vocabulary is not to memorize vocabulary, but you must understand it. Okay. Next is the best way to acquire vocabulary is through a lot exposure and meeting vocabulary in different contexts. Third is try to learn from your attitude, interest, and ability. You cannot have the vocabulary if you don't interest and if you don't have encouraging from yourself. Okay. Fourth is try open and write in your flashcard. Okay. Okay, the conclusion is from that explanation, learning vocabulary is very important for every people. The learners can avoid that mistake and to take a step mastering vocabulary better and better. And next is try not to give up every practice that are being undertaken and learn from that mistake that have been made. Okay, that's all from me. I hope you can understand what I said, and I give it back to moderator. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Arman, for your explanation. So we can remind ourselves about our biggest mistakes in learning vocabulary. So after that, let's continue to the next presenter. And it is Iva Sumaya, and will deliver about the more your vocabulary, the better your English. Hello, Iva.
Halo Teh.
All right, Iva. To maximize the time for Iva, time is yours.
Okay, thanks to the moderator. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. Good morning. How are you today? Hopefully all of you in good condition and stay safe, stay healthy in your location and everywhere you are. Let me introduce myself. My name is Iva Sumaya. I'm from English Education Department, Siliwangi University. Today, I want to share to you about the more your vocabulary, the better your English. Next slide, please. The first is, what is vocabulary? According to Barnhart 2008, 697, vocabulary is stock of words used by person, class of people, profession, and etc. And in other meaning, vocabulary is a collection or list of words, usually in alphabetical order and defined. Next slide. And why vocabulary is so important? Many people think vocabulary is not important and often ignore it. But now I will mention 3 reasons why vocabulary is so important. The first is, according to Bauman and Kamenui 2004, Person et al. 2007, vocabulary is to understand a text. One must understand the words that represent the ideas or concepts. The second is Sternberg 1987, Thurman 1916 claimed that vocabulary knowledge is one of the best indicators of verbal ability. And the last is Bake, Prophetti, and McNown, 1982, and English learners, Carlo et al., 2004, state that vocabulary knowledge can improve reading comprehension for both native English speakers. The next, why vocabulary can improve English skills? Baker, 1997, emphasizes the importance of vocabulary development words that are connected to how many vocabulary words are mastered by the students with language learning academic material. Also, Krashen and Terrell, 1983, write that vocabulary is so important for the acquisition process and as a base for communication. Next. How to improve English skills using vocabulary? According to Reading Panel 2000 and British Council Foundation, there are 7 ways to improve English skills using vocabulary. The first is read. You can improve your vocabulary with reading skills. The second is repetition is necessary for improving vocabulary. The third is revising the text or materials. The fourth is use dictionary. The fourth is use the fifth is learn one word every day. The sixth is use games, and the last is get involved in the conversation. And the conclusion in this material is increasing vocabulary to improve English is very important because by expanding your knowledge and your vocabulary, you can communicate more clearly. And in addition, learning new words is fun activities because it can be done with people around you, and you can learn and you can learning with various ways, such as using games or using flashcard. This is the references. That's all for me. I'm sorry for any mistakes in my speech. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I will give back to the moderator.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Eva, for your explanation. And after we know how important the vocabulary and also the strategies from the presenters, the next one is the first strategies to learning vocabulary through short stories. And it will be delivered by Ita Nurul Fitria. Hello, Ita.
Hello, Kak Asri.
All right, Ita. Ita will deliver about increasing students' vocabulary mastery through short stories. So for Ita, time is yours.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. My name is Ita Nurul Fitria, and I will present to you about increasing students' vocabulary mastery through short stories. First, I'd like to talk about the definition of vocabulary and short story. The definition of vocabulary states from Heck and Brown, 1995. They say that vocabulary refers to a list or set of words for a particular language, or a list or set of words that individual speakers of language might use. Teaching vocabulary helps students understand and communicate with others in English. The more people master vocabulary, the more they can speak, write, read, and listen as they want. Meanwhile, short story is defined by Poe, as cited in Abraham 1970, as a narrative that can be read at one sitting of from 1/2 hour to 2 hours, and that is limited to a certain unique or single effect to which every detail is subordinate. Next, as literary work, short stories are interesting for people to read and talk. Padidi 2011 claims that short stories can entertain, developmental experience, and develop learners' vocabulary. And he also presented that short stories are an effective way to help English learners practice all the four language skills, that is reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And this is the example one of short story. So I recommend to you this short story to read. The title is The Hungry Fox Who Got Caught in the Tree Trunk, because it has several advantages, such as it can increasing our vocabulary, and we can know the moral value from this short story, which we can apply in our daily life, or it can be a lesson for us. That is, we have to think before we act. And these are the advantages using short stories in language learning according to EDSA 2013. The first one is a short story makes learning English enjoyable and attractive process for learners. Then short story stimulates learners' curiosity about the target culture and language. Then short story encourages language acquisition and the learner's language awareness. Then short story offers new words with the actual usage in many forms. Thus learners can understand the meaning of context of new words. Then short story makes the readers guess what will happen next and help them understand the meaning of new words that they encounter through context. Then short story offers opportunities for EFL teachers to integrate them with productive skills like speaking and writing. Then it doesn't need much time to read it, as posted in Abraham's 1970, that short story can be read at one sitting of from 1/2 hour to 2 hours. And the last is creative opportunities. It encourages the students to be creative students. So it can be concluded that short story technique has many advantages, such as it can increasing our vocabulary, an enjoyable method, and not consuming much time. So here are my references. I think that's all from me. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Ita, for your presentation. So after we have the first tool to learn vocabulary, it is short stories. So let's continue to the second tools, and it is learning vocabulary through songs. And the next presenter is Linda Novita Sitinur Sabani, will deliver about learning English vocabulary through songs. Hello, Linda.
Halo Kak Sri.
All right, Linda. How are you today, Linda?
Alhamdulillah, I'm in good condition. Thank you.
All right. So for Linda, time is yours.
Okay, thanks to the moderator for giving me time to present my topic. All right. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. My name is Linda Novita Siti Nur Sabani, and here I want to present to you about learning English vocabulary through songs. Okay, there are two main topics of this presentation. The first topic is vocabulary. According to Lynn 2005, vocabulary is the collection of words that an individual knows. It means that vocabulary is the collection of words that individuals use to communicate with others in order to convey their ideas and thoughts. And then the second topic is song. Grolier 1977 explained that song is a short musical work set in a poetic text with equal importance given to music and to the words, and most of the lyrics of the songs are full of meanings. And these are the advantages of using songs in vocabulary learning. Gadani in 2015 claimed that using song can be one of the most effective ways due to plentiful sources of vocabulary, structure, and sentence patterns are available. Likewise, songs have rhyming patterns, so they make listens more enjoyable. And then Carroll et al. In 2000 stated that songs can activate language acquisition and learn in both hemispheres of the human brain. And then Malakian in 2016 added that Since language is processed in the left hemisphere of the brain and music is processed in the right, combining the two makes several connections. Moreover, memory is an important aspect of language learning like vocabulary learning, and many studies have linked musical support with improved memorization. And the next is investigations using songs in vocabulary learning. Murnani et al. In 2016 conducted a study that investigated the role of pop songs on vocabulary retention and recall of advanced adult EFL learners. The participants were randomly put into two homogeneous groups. The first group was called the musical group, and then the second group was called the non-musical group. The musical group was taught new vocabulary with the help of pop songs. On the other hand, the non-musical group was taught the new vocabulary without using songs. And then the participants were examined through an English vocabulary test developed by a researcher, which examined the learner's vocabulary recall. And then after a month, the result of the test were statistically analyzed, and the test finding proved that the musical group was better in vocabulary retention and recall than the non-musical group. Next. And these are the benefits of using songs in vocabulary learning. According to Sunbury in 2002, the new vocabulary is easily acquired and recalled in a short time with the help of sound. In addition, students are highly exposed to new vocabulary through songs since the words are repeated. And then Kokaman in 2016 stated that with the help of songs, students not only learn formal vocabulary, but also informal vocabulary, which is not covered in traditional lessons. Moreover, vocabulary learned through songs is not forgotten in a short period of time, contrary to the vocabulary learned by traditional methods. And then Kokaman also said that songs they like make the students curious, and this leads them to investigate the words and their use which the participants are not familiar with. In order to investigate these unfamiliar lexical items, most of the students are consult an electronic dictionary. Okay, that's all from me, and these are the references of my presentation. Thank you for your nice attention, and sorry for the mistakes I made. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and now I give it back to the moderator.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Linda, for sharing your idea to us about learning vocabulary through songs. And the next one, to straighten about songs, it will be delivered by Raden Seni Indah about learning vocabulary with songs is an effective way. Hello, Seni. Can you hear me? Hello? Seni, are you there? All right, maybe Seni is still struggling with the signal. So let's continue to the next presenter. And it is about using games in the English vocabulary learning and will be delivered by Muhammad Fahmi Ansori. Hello, Fahmi.
Hello, thanks.
All right, Fahmi, are you ready to present your idea?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, so for Fahmi, time is yours.
Yes. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, good morning. Many methods to learn vocabulary, but how about games? My name is Fahmi Ansori, and I will explain using games in the English vocabulary learning. Next slide. Okay, there are some material that I will deliver. The first material is what is vocabulary, the definition of vocabulary, and the second material is what is game, and the third material is how effective using games for vocabulary learning, and the last is conclusion. Next slide. The first material is what is vocabulary. According to Heads and Brown, vocabulary refers to a list or set of words for a particular language, or a list or set of words that individual speakers of language might ask. As we know that vocabulary is very important thing to learn, especially for students who learn English language, because if we don't learn vocabulary, we can't understand English language. And also, vocabulary can improve all aspects in English language, like speaking, listening, reading, writing, and especially in communication. Next slide. And the second material is what is game. According to Crawford and Chris, definition of game is an interactive, goal-oriented activity with opponents to play against, and where players and opponents can interfere with each other. Uh, almost all people likes games, from children until adults. They are likes games, but most of parents do not agree if their children often playing game, especially in online game, because they are think that game is useless thing. But if we can control it, if we can control game can be one of fun media to learn vocabulary. Next slide. Okay, the third material is how effective using games for learning vocabulary. Next slide. According to Rohani and Forgeri, games can help the teacher to create context in which the language is useful and meaningful with the use of games. Domnus says that using games in vocabulary learning had attained a lot of attention. When games and education are combined, it can be educative, and environment of education will be entertaining. The learners who learn vocabulary using games can be motivated, gain positive attitude, and can be more motivated while learning. Games are advantageous and effective for vocabulary learning, because sometimes because they are motivating, and sometimes involve friendly competition and create cooperative learning environment. So the students have opportunity to work together, but the teacher should monitor their students, and also should explain what is happening. Educational games are used frequently due to their benefits, because they give responsibility and opportunity to active mentally and physically, and also easily to grab children attention and increase their interaction, and are fun to play in academic formal process. Okay, next slide. Okay, the last material is conclusion. The conclusion is learning vocabulary by using games are very occasionally used. Games can help the teacher to create context in which the language is useful and meaningful. The conclusion is using games in vocabulary learning is very effective. Okay, that's all for me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Back to moderator.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Fahmi, for your explanation about our third tools to learning a vocabulary. It is games. And to strengthen the ideas of using games, the next presenter will present about the effect of using digital games in English vocabulary learning, and it will be delivered by Ranti Aryani. Hello, Ranti. Can you hear me?
Hello, yes, I can.
All right, Ranti. So, to maximize the time, you can start your presentation. For Ranti, time is yours.
Okay, thanks to the moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. Good morning. How are you? I hope you all are in the good condition. Okay, it's been a long time, right, since we use technology in our lives. There are many products of technology that can be used in almost every field, including educational fields. But now, we will talk about digital games, specifically the effects of digital games in English vocabulary learning. Firstly, what is digital games? Actually, you already know what it is. So digital game is a game that you can play through your electronic devices such as smartphone, laptop, or your PC and computer. G 2012 said that digital game is a well-designed experience which is based on play and involves problem-solving activities, bringing about motivation, engagement, and creativity. And then the technique to learning vocabulary using digital game is called digital game-based vocabulary learning. It is the combination of playing and learning through digital games or other computer devices. But the focus or the purpose is to enhance our vocabulary. And next, some researchers have found out about the effects of using digital games as vocabulary learning tools that can be the advantages or disadvantages. And Behbahani 2021 said four advantages in using digital games. First one is provide different types of repetition. How digital games provide us with repetition? So when the learners or the players play a game, then they will want to beat their own scores or another player's scores. They will play the game over and over. And consequently, they will meet the same words. And that's how repetition happens in the digital games. And the second one is provide authentic context for learning in their virtual world. This one has the correlation with number 3. Nourish the gamers by rich instantiation for words. So in the virtual world or virtual world is providing us by the combinations of audio, video, pictures, and graphics. And it will create an instantiation. For example, when you see the word flowers pop up in your screen, you will also see the visualization of that word, or you will see the pictures of flowers pop up in your screen besides that written word. So you will know the meaning of that word, and it will make your learning process more easier. And the last advantages is digital games can provide a high level of motivation. Actually, when you think that learning through digital game is an interesting activity, it will increase your motivation to learning. But besides those advantages, there are still some disadvantages of using digital games. First one is digital games provide a simplified example of reality, and most of them are based on violent and misogynistic backgrounds. And it will affect to our behavior, especially for children who still didn't know what's good or bad for them. And the second one is playing digital games continuously can cause physical disadvantages such as Nintendo thumb, strained muscles, and skin problems. And the last disadvantages from digital games is that digital games can suggest addictive behavior in children, and it can affect to academic performance. So everyone, that's all the effects of using digital games as in vocabulary learning. That's all from me. Thanks for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I give it back to the moderator.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Ranti, for your presentation. So, before we start to the next presenter, I would like to remind for all the participants, if you have a question of the curiosity about these materials, you can drop your questions on the chat box. And so before we start the question and answer session, it is still we have one presenter. It is Raden Seni Indah. Hello, Raden. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. Seni will deliver about learning vocabulary with songs is an effective way. So for Seni, time is yours.
All right, thank you for the chance. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, good morning. My name is Raden Sani Indaryasini. Today I would like to presentation about learning vocabulary with song is an effective way. Language is a tool for exchanging information. English has been the most significant language in the world for communication in the global period. As we all know that English is used in almost of every aspect of life for communication. As a result, mastering English is very necessary for better communication. What is vocabulary? Fries believe that vocabulary is the essential of language learning that contains the word in the form of noun, adjective, verb, adverb, which will make language meaningful. Vocabulary is an essential aspect of the production of sentences. The student's vocabulary must be improved to make them more capable in creating of sentences. Okay, next slide, please. Let's move to the definition of fun learning. The author stated that a fun learning strategy is a strategy used to create an effective learning environment, apply curriculum, deliver material, and facilitate the learning process. A fun learning strategy is very needed to facilitate learning. For example, using game, fill the missing lyrics. Next slide, please. Okay, here is the sample of the activity. Here are the lyrics from Westlife song, and the title is I Have a Dream. The student have to listen to the song repeatedly while looking at to the lyric. The goal is to make the student more remember to the lyric. After that, the student have to listen, have to fill the missing lyric. Okay, for the example, I have a dream, a song to sing, to help me go with anything to become. I have a song to help me go with Next slide, please. Next, please. Oh, this is the reason why using song is very effective for learning vocabulary. Utilizing song as a medium for learning vocabulary is considered an effective strategy because we've said that songs are good at introducing vocabulary because song gives a meaningful context for vocabulary. Media provided an enjoyable situation for students. From various songs, the students can learn many vocabularies. Songs are a useful means to facilitate in learning of vocabulary, sentence structure, and sentence patterns. Huberman also clarified that song as a game help lower anxiety and students become more relaxed. If students are relaxed and comfortable, they will retain things better and faster. Next slide, please. From the material, we can conclude that vocabulary is an essential aspect of the production of sentences. To facilitate learning, a fun learning strategy is very needed because it will make the atmosphere will be more relaxing and fun. Teaching vocabulary through song improves students' vocabulary. Also, improves students' motivation in learning because their anxiety is lower and students become more relaxed. If students are comfortable, they will retain things better and faster. Well, this is the end of my presentation. Hopefully, it could be a fruitful presentation for us. Sorry if I made many mistakes. Thank you for your nice attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I give back to the moderator.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Seni, for your presentation. So, Alhamdulillah, we have finished to the first session, the presentation session. And for now, I will open the question and answer session. So for all participants, you can ask a question to the presenters on a chat box, or you can raise your hand if you want to ask directly. All right. Hello, Teh Asri Ainun. Hello.
Yes, here I am. Am I audible?
Yes, clear enough.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for all the presenters that have already explained very fascinating materials, which is it is vocabulary mastery. So then the question will be directed to the one um who delivered a a topic of vocabulary by the tools of using game. Which one?
Fahmi and Ranti.
Yep.
Yes.
I'd like to ask a question to Fahmi. So, what considerations for the teacher to integrate game as a tool of English language teaching? Got it?
All right. So the question from Teh Asri is, what the considerations if we want to choose a game to teach in class?
Yes.
All right, Teh Asri, thank you so much for your
Thank
question.
you. Yeah.
And maybe Fahmi or Ranti, you can deliver your idea. All right, Ranti, how about your opinion? Which games that can be included in our teaching learning classroom?
I think it's about the consideration that I think when the teachers wanna include a game in their learning process, they have to think about the game that most suited to the topic or the theme that they will presented in the class, and also the game that can be played by all the what is it students in the class, and the game that uh, familiar for the students. I think that maybe Fahmi can add another opinion.
Okay, maybe the teacher can include games in their learning because but the teacher should choose games are to have a relation with the material. For example, use flashcard maybe, and another games maybe
All right, so it is an important thing too, yeah, to choose a game to make the activity in our classroom activities, yeah. And the game should be appropriate for students also. And we can we can use the various games and also the website games on the classroom activity, and it is much choices for us as a teacher. Yeah, and also the teacher of course need to learn about that game first. So it is the answers. Maybe Teh Asri can give feedback for us.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the answer. So we have to know about the topic that will be delivered in our classroom, right? So then we will, we as teacher, because we as teachers sometimes, we want to integrate games in classroom, but it's a bit hard to choose which one that is appropriate with our students and also with our materials. But after I got the answer, so yeah, that gives me sight how to choose it. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Teh Asri. And the next question may be from Kak Lukman Hakim. Hello, Kak Lukman.
Yes, hello.
Yeah. Can you tell us about your question, please?
All right, thank you very much to the moderator for giving me time in this question session. Well, it seems like still relate with the first question, that is game as the tools of learning activity. So I will ask about for example, what about game addiction in the learning activity? How teacher handle that problem when our student get addiction in that game? That's my question. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Kak Lukman, for your question. So the question is, how can we act if in a classroom there is a student that is having addiction to the game? Maybe the other presenter can share your idea about this question. Maybe Arman?
All right. Thank you for your moderator to asking me for answer the question. In my opinion, I'm a gamer addict in real life because I play a lot game because my environment is playing game just for fun, not for addict. But sometimes you can uh, addict because you really enjoy the game. First, if you want to avoid that addiction, you must try to understand the time. Okay, the first thing, the important things is you must understand the time, because when you playing games, you always forgetting, like example, when we come the azan, which mean like the calling for a praying, when and we are in the game and we cannot close it, we must playing game before azan or after we are praying, just like that. And next is maybe other presenter want to share the opinion. I think that's all from me. Thank you for your attention. I give it back to moderator.
All right, thank you so much, Arman, for your answers. And maybe we need to consider, because there is two types of games. The first one, games that are related to the English learning, and the second one, that the games that are not related enough to the learning a language. So if maybe it is a good habits if we have an addiction to games that relates to the learning a language. or a vocabulary, such as quizzes. There are a lot of quiz in that quizzes that will increase our knowledge and also increase our vocabulary if you choose the topic of vocabulary. And also, if the games are not related enough to the learning language, we need to wisely use it and choose it to especially for our classroom activity. And that is our answers. Maybe Kak Lukman can give feedback for the answer.
All right, thank you very much for the answer. So it can be concluded that we can choose the related game for our English learning, and it also about time management. Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much for Kak Lukman for your questions. And maybe the other participants wants to share your question or curiosity to us, because we still have 2 minutes before we end this meeting. If there is no questions uh, or there's no questions yet for the participants, you can also deliver your question to the presenter's email or to the account of webinar series of EDSA UNSIL 2021. And because the time is still the time is after the question and answer is just 1 minute again. So I will conclude this presentation about highlighting diverse English vocabulary learning strategies. So the first one, we have enlightened that learning vocabulary is a very important thing in learning English language. And the second one, we have 3 tools to learn English vocabulary. The first one is through short stories. The second one is through songs. And the third one to the games. But also we need to remember that we have to choose and pick the tools wisely to learn vocabulary in our English language learning. So that's all from our groups. Thank you so much for your nice attention in this first session of third day of webinar series EDSA UNSIL 2021. And we would like to say sorry for our mistakes, and I will close this session with saying Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. And for the last, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much for coming. And for all the participants, you may leave the room now. Thank you so much.